What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the AN Pro 2 and whether or not you should buy it, which depends on your needs. So right off the bat, the AN Pro 2 can be found from anywhere from $90 to $100 depending on where you buy it. I personally bought it off Amazon, and on Amazon there's actually a few different options for keycaps, so you can choose anywhere from Kailh to MX Cherry to Gateron switches. And I personally went with the Gateron Browns for my keyboard. So in the typing example later in this video, which by the way is at this timestamp, you can hear the Gateron Brown example from my keyboard. Now, getting right into the unboxing of this keyboard, when you open the box, you're basically going to get kind of what you expect. You get the AN Pro 2 out of the box in a nice little wrapper, and then underneath that you have a few different goodies, I guess. You get your keycaps, and these are just a few different types of colors of keycaps. There's nothing really special about them. They're just solid colors of yellow, purple, pink, green, that kind of stuff, and it's just used to accent your keyboard. You also get a keycap puller and red unbraided cable, USB-C to USB-A. Not sure why it's red, but it is, so you have a red cable if you want to use that. Now, looking at the actual build of this keyboard, the whole case is quality plastic. It feels really good. It's solid, it's heavy in the hand. It doesn't feel like a cheap keyboard when you're holding it, which you're not gonna be holding it that much, it's gonna be on the desk, but just for comparison, it doesn't feel cheap. On the back side of the keyboard, there actually is no way to adjust the height of this keyboard. You have to use something else if you're going to do that, but there are no built-in legs or anything to adjust the height of the AN Pro 2 built into the keyboard. On the back, you also see a switch. This switch basically turns on or off the wireless/Bluetooth option, which is built into the AN Pro 2, which is kind of cool, and actually the reason that I initially bought the keyboard, because my personal use, I wanted to use it with my MacBook and my desktop kind of interchangeably. So the way I would do this is I would turn the switch on when I wanted to use wireless, and then when I wanted to use the cable, the hardwire, I would just turn it off and it would automatically switch to the hardwire mode, which then I could use on my desktop. The wireless obviously uses the battery, and I think AN Pro 2 says around 8 hours of continuous use with the RGBs on, so take that as you will. Those are never really that accurate, but they say 8 hours. For the wireless, you do have 4 options to connect different devices to the AN Pro 2, and basically you're going to do this by using the special Function 2 key. If you've seen other keyboards with this before, you're going to definitely know what it is, but if you haven't, the Function 2 key basically unlocks like a new layer of keys and a new layer of functionality on your keyboard, which kind of is pretty cool. So in this case, you hold down the Function 2 key, and then you hold down the wireless option that you want to use, either 1 through 4, because you can have up to 4 devices, and the key will start blinking its RGB light after about 5 seconds, which means it's ready to pair. And after you do that, you can just select the device in your Bluetooth menu on your device, connect to it, and you're good to go, theoretically. I'll get into that later. The AN Pro 2 also does have a pretty impressive RGB profile. The RGBs can be dimmed or brightened using the Function 2 key and then the brightness keys on the top right of the keyboard. And then you can also change the color mode of the keyboard the same way using their built-in profiles, which are pretty extensive. You have anything from solid colors to like rotating rainbows to when I press a key, it highlights that one key, or when I press a key, it highlights the row and then it fades. And you have all these different color combinations, but if that isn't enough for you, if you're someone who wants something else, you can customize each key individually in the ObensLabs software, like literally down to the key. I can say like I want my A key red and my S key blue. Like you can literally do whatever you want. So if that's not good enough for you, I don't know, man. You're a hard person to please, but their software is really good. In the software, you can also do things like change macros and change function keys, and just change a bunch of other settings in the keyboard that are pretty cool. One of the other settings you can change in that software is the ability to have one-touch like arrow keys. And basically, if you don't know what I mean, the AN Pro 2 has 2 options to have arrow key functionality in it. The first is by using that Function 2 key that we talked about earlier, and then the WASD keys, which have on the front of the keycaps another diagram for another functionality, which in this case are arrow keys. So if you hold down Function 2 and then type on WAS or D, it will use those as if they were arrow keys. However, in my personal case, I ended up using them a lot more in a different way. I'm a software developer, and I found out that I use them more than I thought to just kind of like traverse through the code. So I would type like one arrow this way, one arrow that way, one arrow up, one down. So I was very quickly kind of tapping these arrows. And it was getting annoying having to hit Function 2 and then the WASD key that I wanted, And I found out there's a setting in the software for this keyboard that basically lets you turn Shift, Control, Alt, and then like the little page icon key. I don't know what the real name of that is, but basically it turns those into one-touch arrow keys. What I mean by that is if you touch them really quickly once, you tap them, it acts as an arrow key, not as the key that is actually written on the keycap. Now, personally, I loved this feature. This was something really cool. I didn't know was built in until I started looking in the software, and it was exactly what I needed. Some people don't like it, but you can turn it off if you don't want to use it, so there's that. Now, like I said before, I did get the Gateron Brown switches, so I'm going to put the typing test right now, and y'all can hear what the Gateron Browns sound like on this keyboard. P.S. It sounds great. Now comes to the part of the video of whether or not I would recommend for you to get this keyboard, and it really depends. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad about this keyboard, and I'll talk about the bad first because it'll tell you right away whether or not this keyboard fits what you want to get it for. I would say right off the bat, if you're planning to use this keyboard for wireless functionality, if you want to use it with a Mac, a laptop, you want to carry it around with you and you don't want to use the built-in hardwire port, you want to use Bluetooth, don't get this keyboard. Not to be too harsh, but the wireless on this is just not up to par with what it should be to be counted as like a real working product. Like if they had released this keyboard with just the wireless, it would be crap. It would not work. So what happened to me was initially, I've had this keyboard for about 2 or 3 weeks now. The initial reaction to it was, wow, this wireless works really, really well. Then after about a week, the key started sticking, not physically, but like in the software. So like I would type a Z and then it would just do zzz all the way across the page because I thought the Z key was stuck, or the A key, or whatever key it was going to be that time. It would just type a ton of that letter because for some reason it thought that it was stuck, and it wasn't physically because you could tap the key and it wouldn't fix it. The only way to fix it would be to turn off the keyboard wireless and then turn it back on and then reconnect, which got kind of annoying having to do like once or twice a day, because I feel like, yeah, if it happens like once or twice a week, whatever, but once or twice a day started getting kind of a little bit too much. And then the other wireless problem that I had, and the reason I'm actually returning this, I actually filed for a return yesterday, is because the Bluetooth or the wireless just completely stopped working on the keyboard, like entirely. It doesn't work at all anymore. I can't connect to anything with the Bluetooth anymore. And at first I thought it was my laptop, so I restarted that. I was able to connect my Magic Keyboard and my Magic Mouse to the laptop, so I know it's not the Bluetooth on my actual computer. It's in the keyboard itself. And what happens is the keyboard will flash like it's ready to connect. I'll pull it up in my MacBook, and then when I actually hit connect, it just like flashes like connected, not connected, connected, not connected. And it just kept doing that over and over and never actually connected. And I had to hardwire it if I wanted to use it, which is not what I bought it for. So unfortunately, I will be returning this because of the wireless settings, which are just not what they should be. However, if you are getting this keyboard for something else, if you're going to use it as a normal keyboard, go do it. This thing is amazing. I mean, everything about this keyboard, it feels solid. The keys feel amazing. The RGB is bright. There's so many options. There's customizability in the software. I mean, just everything about this keyboard is exactly what I want it to be if the wireless was better, and which makes me really sad because I want to like this keyboard so much, and I do like it, but I can't keep it because of that. But I will say, if you are using this as a normal keyboard, you're gonna be plugging it in and gaming with it, something like that, you're not gonna be using the wireless, like you don't even care this thing has wireless in it, you're no plans to use it, go get this thing. It is amazing. I can't say too many good things about it because it's so good. It feels good. And like I said, you can pick this thing up anywhere from $90 to $100. If you want to go a little bit higher, you could get the Ducky 1-2 Mini. But I mean, for $30 cheaper, you're basically getting almost the same keyboard. Customizability is insane. Why would you not go with this thing? But as always, this is my personal opinion. If you guys have different ones, if you want to ask me questions, know anything about this keyboard, let me know in the comments down below because I'm really curious about your thoughts, your experience, your questions, if you have them, about this keyboard. I'm really sad that I can't keep it. I'll be sending it back probably today or tomorrow, but it is what it is. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know, if you have anything you want to ask me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.